Welcome everyone. Tonight we have the privilege of talking to Tony DiLorenzo and Dustin Riechmann from Fit Marriage. Thanks guys for coming on board with us for another interview with the Celebrate Life Summit.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, very excited to be here with you.
Awesome. Can you tell us what made you guys start Fit Marriage?
Sure, I can handle that one. It's kind of a funny story. So as you know, having interviewed both of us independently for our other marriage sites, that's been our background. So Tony and I guess it's been it's about a year and a half ago. We're speaking and interviewing one another for a date night audio thing for one, and we were doing that, and kind of got to know each other a little bit through the blogging circles. We got together and did that one evening online through Skype, and we realized we had a lot in common, and we're like, oh, we should talk some more. And I think in our next conversations, at that time, I was doing a program called P90X, and I was basically feeling really burned out. I was kind of feeling overtrained. We had, I guess at that point, we were almost having our third child. My wife was very pregnant. It was tired. I was tired and stressed out. And Tony, on the other end of that, was doing competitive cycling, and it seemed to me like he had boundless energy, even though he was older than me. And he had a lot going on too. So we started talking a lot, and he gave me a lot of insights about how to work out more efficiently in a lot shorter time. And I think I helped him on some of the time balancing issues. He was getting a little out of whack, spending too much time on his bike and not enough time at home. And we really melded together really well with that. And through that summer, I guess that would have been 2010, this idea kind of flourished, and we started the site in the late 2010, and so yeah, we're just over a year now with fitmarriage.com.
Cool.
Awesome. Sean and I have learned that being active has a huge impact on our quality of life. This is an idea that we want to share at our Celebrate Life Summit. How did each of you get started on your own fitness journeys?
Want me to start there, Dustin?
Yeah, go ahead, Tony.
All right. So for myself, it started when I was young, actually. I mean, I started cycling when I was 13 and did centuries, and actually ended up doing a double century when I was 15, so that's 200 miles in a day. Wow. So I started out young and just loved it. It was for me, it was just an escape from just things that were happening at my house, and I had a good group of guys. Through college, though, I didn't do much. I went to the University of Colorado Boulder. There was more partying and beer drinking and just doing nothing. You think going to Colorado, which was an awesome school, especially for activities, I would have done more, but I just didn't. And so after that, I met Elisa in college, and we didn't do much for many years. And then finally, about 2 years into our marriage, we were sitting around, and I remember just looking at her going, gosh, Elisa, we got to do something. We're getting fat. All we're doing is working, and this is just crummy. If this is what married life is about, this is sort of blah. And so we just started walking. And we lived in Orange County at the time here in California, and we didn't get far our first time. I think our first time we only got maybe like 2 or 3 blocks, but it was our goal to just get out nightly. This was prior to kids, so makes it a lot easier. We haven't been able to go for long walks in a long time because of our kids, unless we bring them along, but that can be tedious at times. But, we started walking, we started hiking, backpacking, and it just went from there. And to this day, now that our kids are older, we got a 9 and a 6-year-old, we do some hiking together. We've done some camping trips together as a family. I still do a lot of working out, done a lot of cycling. Elisa, on the other hand, she does her workouts as well, but mainly here at home. But we've tried to stay active, we've been married 15 years, so last 13 years of our marriage, we've tried to stay active in some way or form. In some seasons of life, we dipped, and in others, we've done a lot. So it's just, that's mine in a nutshell.
Yeah, mine's pretty similar. I think we all have that similar story, really. I was a high school athlete. I played football and did a lot of weightlifting and things like that in high school. And I went to college, went to engineering school, got my master's, and it was all, of course, very stressful. The one constant in my life, fortunately, all the way from high school has been Bethany, my wife. We were high school sweethearts. I was a year ahead of her in school. So really that first year there without her, that was lights out. So I drank a lot of beer, ate a lot of food late at night. I actually gained 40 pounds my freshman year of college. So I went all out. Right. And I was still fairly active, actually. I mean, I played basketball and things with friends, and still, so recreationally I was still doing some of that. But yeah, I blew it out as far as diet goes and lifestyle in general. Right. Very little sleep, either studying or partying. So that was sort of the low point. And then throughout college, I got a little bit better. We got married right after I graduated, so she was still in school. And we, just like Tony said, our first 5 years of our marriage, we didn't have children. And during that time, we were both just kind of wishy-washy. I'd say we were both 20 pounds overweight and just not real active. It wasn't too bad. And then, I guess the one high point there was our honeymoon. Like a lot of people, when it came time for our wedding day, we did get in really good shape for our honeymoon. Then things drifted for the next 3 or 4 or 5 years. I don't even remember those years because it's hard to remember life without kids. And
that's the truth, buddy.
Yeah, we always say, well, what do we do with all the time we had, right?
I know. Amen to that.
But I know I very vividly recall, with our first child, that I got like strep throat several times in a row. I had a terrible immunity, and I felt like, wow, this is a new chapter in life. I need to do something. So right after he was born, after I got better and we got a little more sleep after the first probably month, I really took it serious. I started getting in better shape. And honestly, I followed that trend throughout all 3 children, the yo-yo trend, where in all 3 cases, their birth really inspired me, and I would get back on track and really do well. And I spoke, kind of the third there was right whenever I met Tony, and he helped me out a lot. So really since that time, I've been much more consistent and really found a way to make it a lifestyle, not this is a 60-day commitment, this is a 90-day commitment. It's really a day-in, day-out thing where I don't beat myself up if I miss something, but I also, am probably in about the best shape of my life again without really training for that. As I have specific events, like on my 30th birthday, I rode my first century on my bike. I'm not really a cyclist, so that was a big achievement for me, unlike 13-year-old Tony. But so I do have those little mini events that I train for. But really, for me, it's all about trying to get 3 or 4 days a week, have some consistency with it, and then try to control the food side more. I've learned through these years that's the biggest key. It's the easiest thing to overlook. I can look back, like I said, my freshman year of college, where I was probably more active than the average student, but I still gained 40 pounds. Yeah. So I can really pile it on the food side if I'm not careful. So that's my fitness story in a nutshell.
So Fit Marriage is, you guys encourage people, couples, to get fit together and encourage each other. Why do you think couples should get fit together? What are the benefits, and how will it help their marriage?
You can take that, Tony?
Sure. You know what, I think a big thing is what we have found over the years of just talking to couples, a lot of it is communication. A lot of it is just being able to engage each other in a way that's not always like across the table from each other, and it's like this big serious ordeal of like, okay, honey, we got to talk. When you're out and you're active together, it's just interesting, because I've heard it from a number of couples when they're out there and they're just able to do something together. It's like their mind clears up. They can see and realize what they want to talk to or want to speak about to their spouse. And it usually happens during this recreational intimacy, which is something Elisa and I coined, that you're able to just spend time together, you're feeling good together, the endorphins are running, and you get this point in your marriage and in your fitness where you're just like, you're free to talk. It's like you're taking off the mask because you're sitting in front of each other grunting and sweating and just letting it all lay out,
Yeah.
And that's a good thing for us. I mean, it just allows us just to take off that mask that we're wearing and go, this is who I am. You married me because you love me, not because I dressed the prettiest or have the prettiest hair or this or that and the other, but it's because of who I am inside. And I think over time in our marriages we start putting on masks because we think we're supposed to be something else. But when we do fitness together, it sort of strips that all away. Because you need the help of your spouse sometimes, especially, and I know with Elisa and I, when we did a lot of backpacking together, there are many challenges she faced. She doesn't have this athletic body like I've been blessed with. I've been told that many a times, and I'm so happy. She doesn't have it, so she's needed that encouragement. And I learned early on when I used to backpack with her, I used to like hike way ahead of her, like 14, 15, 16 feet ahead of her. So we never even spent time together. And after like the first 3 to 6 months of doing that, I sort of realized that wasn't good for our marriage. And so what I ended up doing, I ended up switching. I ended up going behind her. And I'd only go as fast as she would go. And man, did we just have these amazing conversations. And so I believe anyways is that really why does fitness matter in our marriages is because it just allows us to strip away a lot of this stuff that's going on. We take off those masks. We can be true with each other, and we can communicate on a higher plane together. And
yeah, I think. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was gonna add to that what you said there was so true and pretty beautiful, really. The way that you put that as far as working out together and the quality that it's almost inevitable that unless you're getting competitive, you're going to have a great quality time when you're active together. There's something about being active. But also the whole idea of striving towards fitness goals together, even if you can't do it together or you choose not to do it in the same room at the same time. In our marriage, we hardly ever work out together. The rare occasions when we have our whole family together and we're out doing something. But generally we're trading off kids. They're all 7 and under, all 3 of them. We're usually doing something like that. So usually I work out on my own, she works out on her own. But there's still a major difference in our household when we're both being active. It's palatable. I mean, we're both in better moods. We have much more energy. We're more patient with our kids. And so it really feeds a whole healthy lifestyle. And then we still communicate about our goals. I mean, we support each other in our eating better because we're both striving towards those similar goals. She takes compliments and actually takes the compliment if I say she looks nice. She believes it instead of thinking I'm pandering and trying to, suck up for some reason. So I can go on and on about all the specific examples, but the bottom line is it really brings a renewed intimacy into a marriage. I've been married 11 years. Tony's been married 15, and that's one of the reasons we felt like this message is so important because it affects our kids. It affects everything in the whole family unit. Whenever we feel healthy and we're feeding and making our bodies active and keeping our brains alert, I mean, it's just night and day.
Yeah.
You touched on this a bit, but do you have any advice on finding ways to squeeze fitness into your busy family life?
Sure, yeah. That's one of the things we harp on a lot, and one of the things we really help couples with. It's interesting, when people sign up at our site and become members of our community, we ask them a question. As soon as they sign up, what are you struggling with? And almost every, it's probably 90% of the people either say time or motivation.
Yep.
So it's not a know-how thing. It's not, well, I don't know how to do, a workout. People have done workouts. They understand the benefits. They've known that since elementary school. But the question is, when you have all this other stuff going on and you have kids and you have a career, how do you make time? And I think the first thing to understand is that it doesn't require that hour or the hour and a half that so many people are led to believe. Literally in 30 minutes or less. I know you two have both experienced this. And I don't work out hard. I can't think of the last time I worked out for more than 30 minutes, barring 2 weeks ago we had some good weather and my son and I went for a 2-hour hike. But that was just recreational. But as far as actually working out, I never go more than 30 minutes. It's not necessary. So that's the first thing, is for people to put it in perspective that they don't need an hour to find the time. And then the one thing I'll add is there's a lot of pockets in our day. You can cut out one sitcom. You could cut out Facebook for 30 minutes less. You could bundle your emails so you're not dividing your attention all day through your emails. You can get up 30 minutes early, which is what I do. That's what my wife does too. So we alternate mornings that one of us is with the kids because they always wake up really early, and while the other one works out first thing. You could do it in the evening and put your kids to bed a little bit earlier, and especially if you're doing it together, that's a great way to end the day. And maybe, Tony, you might have some more, but those are right off the top of my head. Those are some pockets of time that most families can find, for sure.
No, and I agree with Dustin. It's not this big ordeal like we need to be spending an hour and a half every day. It really isn't. And I like to tell a lot of people, think about where you want to be and just systematically work backwards on that. If it's 5 pounds or 10 pounds, be realistic with your goals and where you want to get. And you really can with 30 minutes 4 times a week. If you're doing some high intensity, I think the key is there, and I just like to add, is that these are high intensity workouts, and it's not just sitting on your treadmill for 30 minutes just doing sort of a low impact cardio workout. The workouts that Dustin are speaking of are those types of, they're high intensity. You're going to burn a lot of fat. You're going to get your metabolism going quickly. And you can do it in 30 minutes in all the ways that Dustin described.
And you can do it at your house, which is a big distinction too, because people think, well, I have to get ready, drive to a gym, then I need to spend an hour there on the elliptical, then I need to get dressed, take a shower, come back home. In the meantime, I have to find babysitting, all these issues, whereas you could just, do it in your garage, do it in your basement, do it in your living room, do it with your kids around. My kids are around a lot of times when I'm working out. They'll play Legos, or they'll do a few push-ups with me, or they'll play a video game, and, and they're fine. So that's another thing to keep in mind, is to get out of the mindset that so many people are in, that it's got to be, their whole life has to revolve around their workouts if they're working out. It's really got to be the other way around. Your workouts got to be around your life, because your life's always going to be at the center, or it's just not going to be sustainable.
Yeah. And for stay-at-home moms, I think a big one too is to remind stay-at-home moms that, if your kids are of the age that they're already in school, get the kids to school, make it your priority as soon as you get back, that you jump in, you do your workout, and you're done. You're moving on with your day. Don't laze around. I think the big thing for me anyways is sort of knowing when I'm going to do it, because for a lot of folks it's like, well, I want to do it in the morning, but they really don't have that written down anywhere. So the alarm goes off and then they forget about it. And then they go, well, I'm going to take the kids to school and then I'll get back to it, and then they don't do it. So one thing I like to tell people a lot of, if you're just a little, you just don't know when to really do it, get your calendar out. I know a lot of people have, and I still do. I still have my, my old school calendar here. I write stuff down. Just get in your calendar and calendar it, because you're not going to skip a date with your girlfriend or your doctor or your dentist. So why keep skipping out on yourself? And if it means that you got to put it down your calendar and highlight it, or put it on your phone and let your phone beep at you, get it in that calendar so you're reminded every other day that you're going to do your workout.
Mm-hmm. Great advice. Another thing I wanted to ask you guys about was a lot of couples have a hard time supporting each other with eating healthier. Sometimes it's easier just to go out for dinner. Can you give us some quick tips about how you guys are able to support each other in eating healthier?
You want me to start it up, Dustin?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I know for Elisa and I, it took conversations. We had to engage each other in emotional intimacy. We had to communicate, because I don't know what she wants. She doesn't know what I want. So it's very easy just to go down the road of least resistance, which is, let's just go out, or let's just do something simple. So when it finally came to that point where we were both looking at each other, and this probably is now going back, gosh, I want to say 8 years ago now, 9 years ago maybe, when we really wanted to make a change in our nutritional lives, we really had to sit down together and go, well, what does this look like? Because there were vices back then that I didn't want to give up, and she's like, well, we need to clean our plates of everything. And there were vices that she didn't want to give up. And I was like, well, if I got to clean off my plate of everything, then you need to clean off your plate of everything. So we had to sit down and we had to talk about it. And what we ended up realizing is that one thing that we failed at time and time again prior to that, whenever we tried to make this drastic change, we failed. So instead of doing that this time, we said, let's just little by little start implementing new things that we want to change. And little by little, and yes, it's been 8 years now that we've made massive change, but it took us 8 years to get there. And you know what? It's part of that journey. We're in a marriage, and marriage is a journey, as we all know who are on this call today. we all know what marriage is like. Well, our nutritional habits are sort of the same thing. It's a journey, and every time, I think many of you can relate to me, is every time you try to make this drastic change in 30 days, you probably failed and then just kicked yourself and got upset with your spouse because they made you stop drinking soda, or coffee or whatever. So Elisa and I, we just took it one step at a time, and we keep tweaking stuff. We keep trying different stuff. Lisa's done like gluten-free stuff. We've tried paleo stuff. We've tried no carb, all this stuff. No, and we just kept working it out. And now we're at the point where we realize that every meal has to have a protein, every meal has a carb, every meal has some sort of fat in it. We balance our meals out. We're pretty much on the same page though now. And I just, for those of you out there who are just getting frustrated with it, one is sit down, talk to your spouse. And two, don't try to make the drastic change because, I think you're setting yourself up for failure, especially when it's two of you. It gets a little hard. And then if you have kids in the household, then it's really, really tough, I think. So just make little changes. I mean, if the one change you can make right now in your marriage or in your nutrition with each of you is breakfast, start with breakfast. If it's, you guys are always running out to McDonald's for a Egg McMuffin, well, how about we try to just change it that you make your Egg McMuffin at home? And that is a positive change that you can do, and then little by little you just grow off of that. And Dustin, tell them what you think as well, because we both have different styles.
Yeah, and food's been a struggle for us for our entire marriage. As far as we've always a struggle, really in the opposite way, in that our entertainment's always been going out to eat and getting carry out. That's like the highlight of our night. That was what everything's been structured around. Maybe a Midwestern thing. I don't know. It's all beer and barbecue, and that's where you socialize, and that literally, even now, if we have a date night, usually our date nights are all focused on just going out to eat and just having a nice dinner. We make different choices now, but there's a couple things there, all of which we've experienced, and there's probably two sources of real friction when it comes to food and marriage. You either have a reluctant spouse or you have an enabler. And so, the reluctant spouse is the one that's always kind of the naysayer. It's like, well, that's never going to work. This is never going to last. Just constant negativity. And that's really hard to deal with. And on the other side, you have the enabler. It's like, oh, just have a cupcake. Oh, let's just this one time. Let's just keep doing this. And so they're totally not supporting you. And that can be really hard to deal with in both cases. And I found, because I've done it, I've been the enabler to my wife, and she's been the enabler to me at different times. I really found the sweet spot. Like Tony mentioned, it all comes down to communication. It's just like anything else in your marriage. It has to be serious. So if she's constantly trying to enable me to do something that I've already said that I'm not wanting to do with the way I'm eating, I just have to sit down, face to face, knees to knees, and look, this is serious. This means a lot to me. You need to. I really need you to quit doing that. It's really bothering me. It's and then vice versa. We have an open communication about it. And I think what Tony said too about keeping things simple and small changes is really important. And the way that we do things, because we have 3 kids, we're very picky eaters, and frankly, we often don't eat the same things. My wife and I almost always eat the same things, but our kids don't, and we try to deal with it as best we can. So we make something that's fairly versatile. They may get something a little different than we do. And then I think another good example of this, we talk a lot about an 80-20 rule, which most people are familiar with. It just means 80% of the time you stick to the book, the prescription that you said you would, and then 20% of the time you're fine to be loose, right? So, for example, right now I've been pretty big into a paleo eating plan. It's just I like to experiment with different things partly to report back to Fit Marriage, and it's kind of fun to do. And so I've been doing that for over a month. And what I've done is I do that for breakfast and lunch, where I have total control. And then at dinner, if we're going to have pasta, I'll eat some pasta. I won't eat as much as I used to, but I'll have a piece of bread if we go out to dinner. I'm not like 100%. I'm at 80-20, and I'm still seeing the benefits of it. I feel great. I've really limited my gluten and that sort of thing. But at the same time, my wife doesn't feel excluded or like we're in completely different wavelengths. We can't eat together, and we're still able to have things that work for our kids. So hopefully that it was a long answer. There's a lot. There's a lot to that topic, but that's a little bit of what we like to share. So
Yeah, nutrition is big. I mean, gosh, it goes the gamut, and we've heard it a lot.
Um, so Shauna and Bruce have done the Thrive 90 program, as have I and my husband Dale, and we both did it from start to finish and loved it. We love the high intensity workouts that we could work out for 15 minutes, half an hour in the comfort of our own homes and then be done. And I know we've had a lot of laughs with our spouses, and like you say, you see each other at your not so pretty moments, but it was really awesome. But I'd just like you guys to describe what that program is about, and then maybe also talk about Fit Nation.
Go for it, Dustin.
okay, yeah. So Thrive 90 is it's really designed for couples and on-the-go parents, is the way we like to say it. So a lot of people do it individually. A lot of people like to do it together as a couple, as you guys did, which I think is the best way to do it. But again, I understand people schedules don't work, or they just don't like to do that together, and it's totally fine to do separately. But basically, it's a 90-day program. It's 3 different phases that get progressively more difficult, so that your body gets progressively more fit. All the workouts are 30 minutes or less. That's our cardinal rule. There's 4 to 5 times a week, and it's a very varied program. So and you guys can agree or disagree. I think it's hard to get bored on Thrive 90 because things change pretty frequently, but yet it's within a structure. So it's designed to be progressive and really get good results within 90 days. And it's also, I think, what makes it different than other 90-day programs, other than the length of the workouts and the style of the workouts. The whole intention of it is to ingrain it as a lifestyle. It's something that you can continue on. So it's not this, pardon my French, this balls to the wall, 90 days, you feel like you're going to puke, and, like I've been through with other programs where by the end of it, you're just like I'm glad that's over. I'm never working out again. That it's really intended not to do that. So that's the workout side. It also has some nutritional guidance. It's got some coaching emails, things to hopefully keep people inspired. A lot of bonus materials like recipe books and things like that to also help fit it within the context of a family. But that's Thrive 90. You can go to thrive90.com and people can check out the details on it. And then Fit Nation is something fairly new that we're happy to have Shauna be a part of, and it's really a fitness community. So in there are new workouts every 30 days. They're all 30 minutes or less. So it's got some similarities to Thrive 90 in that way. One difference, Thrive 90, I didn't mention, they're all full-length workouts, meaning it's Tony or I, for the most part, on the screen, and you can just follow along while we do it in real time. And it's also available as a DVD. So it's a little more traditional workout in that way. Fit Nation, it's all online, and it's got fresh workouts every 30 days, and it's got fresh recipes, and it's got some meal planning help and things like that. But really what sets it apart is 2 things. One, it starts with what we call our 7 baby steps. So it really is designed to help people find out why they need to work out and really ingrain that. So it kind of goes deep into motivation, time management, those 2 big issues that we hear so much about. And we really try to walk people step by step in a process that really only takes a few hours, but it's got very specific action items that we want them to take to hit some milestones and really get some momentum going. So that's where it starts. And then the other side that makes it that we're so proud of is that it's a community. And it continues to grow. It's fairly new. It's only been around for a little over a month. We've got a great community in there. We have forums. We have every other week we have coaching calls where people can call in and ask questions of Tony and I or other guest experts, share their success stories. It's got a lot of components inside, but that's really the bulk of it. And right now we're really encouraging people to come over and try it out. So we've got a $1 trial for 14 days so people can get in, try out the workouts, become members of the community, and see what they think. And if they like it, they can stick around. If not, no problem at all. And that's at fitnation.tv. So we'd love people to come check out either program. And everything we do kind of follows this mission that you've heard about throughout the interview of really keeping our families first, letting our fitness empower our families rather than feeling like it's a big distraction away from our family time. That's what we're trying to avoid.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, thank you. Is there any other programs that you guys would like to talk about, or any other projects that you have coming up that our viewers might be interested in?
I don't think any other programs. I mean, if they'd like to, those are two paid products that people get a lot of use out of. But they're very welcome to just come to fitmarriage.com. We have a free newsletter. It's got a lot of good information. There's tons of good free. There's probably over 100 articles on there. Lots of how-to videos. Some great recipes that Tony and Elisa have put together on video to show people how to make some healthy, fast meals. So just come over to fitmarriage.com and join us there, and that's all free. So we'd encourage people to check that out too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both again for taking the time out of your busy lives to have an interview with us. And yeah, we appreciate your support for the Celebrate Life Summit.
Thanks.
We're glad you're doing it. We're happy to be part of it.
Yeah, thanks again, Sean and Chris. Way appreciated.
All right, well, you guys have a good night and have fun podcasting, Tony.
Thanks.
All right.
Yeah.